White Elephant is an action film that released just last year and was directed by Jesse V. Johnson. Jesse V. Johnson, if you're a fan of the genre of recent times, is actually a fairly big name, one of the names that's consistently been banging out really, really solid action or flicks over the years. And White Elephant particularly attracted me both because of that and, of course, the cast involved. Of course, Michael Rooker, who I've always been a big fan of, whether it's The Walking Dead, the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, of course, or as far back as something like Jean-Claude Van Damme's Replicant. And I don't think he gets enough credit when he is the actual lead main protagonist of a movie, which is a little bit rare these days for how he's usually typecasted. But in this he is, he's sort of a man that's lost his wife and has fallen into a certain line of work, and so is maybe trying to find a little bit of redemption whether he lives or dies. So he's still kind of a morally gray character, but our kind of lead, essentially, or co-lead nonetheless. And I really loved him Replicant alongside Van Damme, by the way. And overall, before we get to that, though, I also wanted to mention Olga Kurylenko. Of course, she is probably my top 10 list of favorite actresses out there today. She has really made a name for herself in the action genre in particular, and she has quite the acting chops as well. So she's always almost believable on screen. And of course, you have John Malkovich in a small part, as well as Bruce Willis, who isn't able to do his usual thing, but his presence does not hurt at the very least. And I gotta say, overall, White Elephant is probably one of my favorite Jesse V. Johnson films now. It's sort of right in with, he directed the first Accident Man, Scott Adkins, as well as the two Debt Collector movies. I'd say this is right in there with the first Accident Man and the first Debt Collector in terms of my favorite films of his. This film is, it starts off probably a little slow for some by sort of the setup of it all, and it gets quite violent and quite the violent shoot 'em up by the end of the movie. Olga gets plenty to do. Michael Rooker turns in a very fine performance, and it's very satisfying by the end of it. I really enjoyed it. I do wish I would have seen it last year because it probably would have made it into my top 15, top 20 somewhere over that year, I'm sure. I do think it's worth checking out as a very lean old school runtime to it. So yeah. I will say his Michael Rooker's current partner, he wasn't as believable as being this new lethal killer as I thought he would be. I don't have the actor's name, but other than that, I really did enjoy this movie, and I can't wait to buy it on physical.